So I'm here with Vince the Barber, co-owner of Grey Matter Barbershop in North Hollywood, California. Vince is a motivational speaker to the barbering community and educator, amongst other things. So Vincent, tell me, what was your inspiration and motivation to become a barber from the very beginning?
Well, I started off I used to draw a lot growing up, so I was really into art. So a lot of my homies would ask me like, oh yeah, can you just, draw, like at the time it was like the Nike signs, like the Nike swoosh and like the Adidas 3, like simple things like that. So they would ask me to do that. So I would do that. Literally all I would do is lineups and designs. I didn't know how to fade, I didn't know how to do any of that. So when my homies would ask me like, yeah, just give me like a taper and a lineup and throw in a part or something, I'm like, all right. I'd give them a one level, line it up, and throw in design, and they're like, yo, what happened to the taper? What happened to... Oh, that stuff's played out, man. You guys don't want that shit. So then our homie that used to cut all of us up, I used to get cut once a week. So I would go to his house, get cut, and I would ask him like, yo, I want to learn how to cut hair. I want to become a barber, just for like, just a side thing, just as a hobby. So I did that, started off with that, and then I became pretty good at it. Started cutting at high school, cutting the homies and like family members and stuff like that. So, it became a hobby. Then I found out that I was more passionate about it than that just being something I would just do on the side. So, as I got older and I kept doing it, I was like, man, I could turn this into a career. So, that pretty much brought me to where I'm at. I went to school for engineering. Dropped out of college after like the first year and decided, I can't do this engineering stuff. I want to become a barber. I know I can, make it happen, and I know I can make good money off of it. So, yeah.
It's you. Mm-hmm. Okay, and explain to me why you believe that Grey Matter is different from any other barbershop.
Well, I started off with Capsule. Capsule was a storefront shop. When things hit the fan with that and we kind of went our separate ways, we wanted to kind of do something different. The way we were at Capsule was we always wanted to set the bar to a whole nother level than what everyone else was doing. We wanted everyone to look at us like, damn, these guys are doing something, out of the ordinary. So instead of doing a storefront, we did a private loft setup. So what me, Jules, and Joey talked about is we wanted to show that we matured from being a storefront shop. We wanted to show that we were growing more towards not so much high class, upper class type of shop, but again, we just didn't want to do the same thing over again. So Grey Matter is definitely not only a barber shop, but we portray it as more of a lifestyle brand. I feel like that way, like I myself, when I started Capsule, I wanted to do a lot of collaborations with like other brands and companies, stuff that other barbershops don't even do. So we figured, why not name, like Capsule wasn't a barbershop name. There's all these other shops that are barbershop related, barbershop name related. So Grey Matter was more something that I feel like we could, like other brands could actually work with us. You know what I mean? Like a name like Grey Matter, you see Grey Matter, you wouldn't even think it's a barbershop. So that's one thing like me and Jules and Joey thought of, make it more of a lifestyle, make it something more different. And we're not only selling haircuts, we're selling the experience. So our whole thing with now, like us coming out here in Europe doing this whole Bridging the Gap tour, our whole thing with Grey Matter, our whole theme was bridging the gap between barbershop and salon and, having them combined together. So, yeah, definitely Grey Matter is just something different, something that we wanted other people to look at as yeah, not so much of a barbershop, but just something different.
Do you have any kind of unique services in there?
We try to just keep everything uniform. Starting from like the like what we wear, what every barber wears every day coming in. More like monotone colors, nothing too flashy or crazy, no graphics, just simple plain. The music that we play, it's not all trap and like crazy rap. We actually play like some Frank Sinatra or some R&B, or depending on the the time of day. We also offer beverages like coffee, juice, water, drinks after a certain hour. But again, it's just the whole experience. We want to make sure that every client that sits in our chair gets the same treatment, and the whole thing we want is for them to tell us like, wow, I've never gotten that treatment before. You know, this is the first time I've ever been treated this way. This is the first time I've ever gotten a cut and experienced something like this. So our whole thing is just based on experience.
And in terms of hairstyles, what hairstyles are you getting the most pleasure from right now? What would you say your hairstyle is? Just to kind of get a feel for where you are right now.
As far as like what we do at the shop.
Yeah, well, you know, some people like doing flat top skin fades.
Yeah, like, I mean, so
patterns.
so like coming from Toronto, like a lot of our cuts, well, when I was still living over there, was just simple fades, like mid fades, bald fades. At the time, like faux hawks were in, mohawks and all that. Now I feel like it's more like more styling. You know, like the pompadours and the undercuts and the comb overs and stuff like that. So we get a lot of that stuff in. We don't get too many people coming in asking for designs, you know, which I mean, like I said, I started off doing that stuff and it was fun, but now I'm more into like the styling. And I learned a lot through, you know, Julius and a couple of the guys at the shop. Like a lot of the guys in the shop are actually educators as well. So, I mean, there's always room for learning. You know, no one's ever perfect. So that's one major thing that I love about our shop is that everyone's, if they're not cutting, they're not just sitting in the chair like this and waiting for their client. They're actually standing up and walking around and watching us cut. You know, so that alone just shows like everyone's willing to learn and improve, and you know, we're all just growing as a team.
And in our social evening that we've had this evening, what have you learned from the Luchman, our very own Kevin Luchman?
I've heard about him for a while now, and you know, I go on his Instagram and I watch his videos, and it's inspiring. You know what I mean? And going to these hair shows and seeing him on stage doing his thing, and to be here in London, you know, in his hometown, and just seeing him put in work, it's inspiring. You know, now I learn a lot, like I said, just watching other people and just coming here early and watching all the barbers here at Champs cut. It's cool to see how the way they cut and see their techniques, and I could you know, obviously learn from it and go back to LA and try it out myself. So again, there's always room for learning and improving.
Okay, perfect. You made a very bold move to Los Angeles, leaving behind your friends and your families to start with nothing. Tell me, what was the thinking behind this?
I mean, I was cutting for a while. I'm going on 14 years now cutting hair, and you know, Toronto was dope. I was busy, booked up every day. I had no room for more clients, and like the only next step for me was to open up my own shop there. But before all that, I always wanted to just pick up and leave and just move far, far away and see if I could make anything for myself. And everyone's, why don't you just go to New York? I'm like, it's too close. I need more, you know, like the way I've been brought up was I was always up for a new challenge. Like I was never happy or satisfied with what I had. Although like money was good and business was good and, you know, everything was great, but a part of me just wanted more of a challenge, and I just felt like I was comfortable, and that's one thing I hate, being comfortable. So I was like, let's try it LA, you know, it's the land of opportunity, that's where all the stars are, and I just wanted to get into like that industry of cutting A-list clientele. So, you know, I made the jump. Coming from Toronto, there's no such thing as barber licensing out there, so if you're a barber and you're good, you could walk into a shop and be like, yeah, you know, I'm a barber, wondering if you have a chair available, and they'll be like, you have clientele, are you good? I'm all right, they'll try you out. If you're good, then you got yourself a job. So I was at that point where I was like, I just want to go legit and get my license. So I came out to LA, did my research, got into a barber school, got my license, and my plan wasn't even to stay there. My plan was to just get my license, go back to Toronto, and try to open up the first barber school or barber whatever academy. But as I was in LA, I was like, man, I don't even want to go back home. You know, this is great, weather's great, people are dope. So let me just try to open up a barber shop here. I checked out the barber scene. The barber game was just whack compared to back home. Like, you know, it was just all regular neighborhood barber shops. So I spoke to my homies and family back home. Like, yeah, I don't know if I should open up a shop here because it's not even that big over here, or I could just change the game and just, you know, open up something that's just going to open up the barber game out here and build the community up. And that's what we did with Capsule. But yeah, just the whole experience of me moving from there, coming to LA, was just crazy because One is just me and my tools, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was coming my way, but everything just started popping off, like opportunities left, right, and center. And I was just going with the flow, man. Like whatever happens, happens. As long as it benefits me, my family, and like now the shop, like I'm gonna do it. So it's been great.
You've got a long list of A-list clients that a lot of barbers would die for. Tell me how you managed to procure these A-list clients.
Again, like moving to LA, I didn't really know that many people, so, but I do know a lot of celebrities are in town all the time and they're partying, so I would try to hit up every industry party, every, biggest, all the biggest clubs out there, because I know there's either like a music artist hosting or athletes are there popping bottles and, just kicking it. So I would go into these parties, have my business cards ready and just start handing them out, just getting my name out there, and I didn't know what to expect out of it, but next thing you know, I get a phone call, and one of my first A-list clients, who was a music artist, was Tyrese. Yeah, he doesn't. Everyone thinks he doesn't have hair, but he does have hair. But yeah, I've been working with Tyrese for 6 years now, and he's put me on with a whole bunch of people. He's got me on damn near every TV set, movie set that you could think of, and even when I'm on set, I'm doing the same thing, just networking. So like one biggest thing for me was to just network with anyone possible in LA, and that's what plugged me with all these other A-list clients. So.
Okay. And what I'd really like you to do is maybe give 3 of your marketing techniques, because we're here at Champ's Barbers, and I've actually seen firsthand that Champ does a lot of the simplistic marketing exercises that you do that are highly effective, and a lot of barbers may look at them as, primitive or they're above that. So I'd like you to explain that, because I know this is something that you continuously do now. So
I mean, like even before I moved to LA, Instagram wasn't even, I don't even know if Instagram was even out yet, but I mean all there was Facebook and possibly Twitter. But a lot of people nowadays, I feel like they focus so much on social media as marketing, which works, don't get me wrong, but for example, a lot of our barbers now, like ever since we moved to Gray Matter and it being such a private spot, not a storefront shop, I was trying to explain to them, like, you got to go back to like the guerrilla movement, where you got to go on the street, make your business cards, hand them out, make flyers, and because that stuff works, you know what I mean? Like you got to actually go out there and get your clientele. Like you got to learn how to be sociable and being able to talk to people, because that stuff works. Like you could that's how I gained my clientele moving to LA. Like I said, I didn't have friends, I didn't know anyone out there. So when I first opened up Capsule, who's going to come into my shop? Who's going to sit in my chair? So like no matter if I'm doing groceries, I would give my card to the cashier. If I'm at dinner, I would give my card to the waiter, you know what I mean? Or at the bar, same thing. So it's like going back to the old ways of marketing is damn near the best way to do it. You can't always just depend on social media. You got barbers that have like thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, but they're not even really, you go to their shop and they're just chilling. You know what I mean? So obviously there's a way you got to learn how to turn those followers into money. You know what I mean? And so like I said, you can't depend on social media all the time, even though that's what the world is revolving around right now. But like I said, you just got to go back to the old ways of doing things, man. You just can't. I know the modern day now is just all internet, all visual, but you got to be able to talk too. Like what Jules always told me, like closed mouths don't get fed, and if you're not talking about your work and showing that you're passionate about it, then, I mean, who's gonna fuck with you? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it is what it is. That's how I see it. I feel like till this day, yeah, I still use social media, but wherever I'm at, I'm still talking and handing out my business cards.
Yeah, I think a barber in North Devon summed it up. He said that the average barber shop's client base is in a 1.5 mile radius. So if you've got 100,000 followers, what would that do for won't get bums on seats because these people are in India and America and all the rest of it. That's good for educational gigs if you're going to educate, but in terms of bringing money into your till, that doesn't.
But see, that's the thing, is there's some people that are like, damn man, you got like all these followers, man, you should be like, you're probably popping, like you're living it. I'm like, you're living on your iPhone, on your Instagram, but are you really living? Like how much money you got in your bank? How's your living situation? Like all that comes into play. You know what I mean? A lot of people think they're, mean, being Instagram famous doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's a new day and age now. So.
Okay, and when I asked you earlier on whether or not you're educated, you said, kind of, not really, I'm more motivation. And when I listen to you speaking, I get inspired and motivated. Tell me a little bit about your motivation gigs. How do you go about motivating?
Like just recently I started doing more like look and learn stuff and like showing the way I cut. Like growing up, like I said, I would just learn through other barbers back home in Toronto. So I never really went to like proper schooling until I came out here to get my license. But even still, it wasn't, I mean, you know how it is over there. But I just do more like, with me, I just like, with knowing that I was able to leave everything I had back home and move somewhere that I didn't even know what to expect and still make something out of it. Like that's just one thing I want to push. And like I get emails and DMs and like every day I just get people like young barbers, not even barbers, just hitting me up saying like, yo, I've been watching your videos on YouTube, like you're an inspiration. I've been following you for ever since you moved to LA and this and that. And like that alone, it gives me the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. It's not for the fame, it's not for followers, it's not for, obviously, yeah, I'm here to make some money, but at the same time, I'm here to inspire the world, like all the young people coming up, whether you're a barber or it could be any type of career you're in. Like there's possibilities to do what you want to do. Like you never want to be comfortable. You don't want to feel like, that's one thing I just push is like don't feel like you're stuck and feel like there's no hope for wanting to do what you love. Like you got to just reach for it. If you don't do it, then how are you going to even know that you'll make it? And that's one thing I did, because as much as I tell my people back home, like, why are you guys still living, like doing the same thing? Every time I go home to visit, like, what's popping? Oh, same old thing, man. I'm just working at the mall, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, but on their side job, they're doing all these other things. Like, dude, why don't you try to push for that? You know what I mean? And it's like some people just get stuck and they're just stuck being comfortable. And that's one thing I just hate. Like, there's so much more for you. You just got to reach out and get it.
So basically, in a nutshell, your philosophy is the minute you start to feel comfortable, make yourself uncomfortable in order to grow and be something that you wouldn't have otherwise to be.
Yeah, like something like what Jules was saying is what he tells, whenever we do classes, like look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why. So I would tell them the same thing. Look at yourself in the mirror. Like, are you happy doing what you're doing? What is it that you really love to do? Do you really want to go and do it and get it? Like, go ahead. Look at yourself and like, man, I'm not even happy where I'm at. So go and do it. Make changes. Because, YOLO, you only live once. But, no one's going to hand nothing to you. So if you're not going to go get it, then I guess you're just going to stay being comfortable.
Okay, so moving from the mindset to the industry, what would you like to see change in the industry in an ideal world?
Like Jules mentioned, just less hate. Like, every time I do battles or host battles, like, that's one thing I stress is that we're all in this for the same reasons. We're all doing the same thing. We're all making people feel and look good. So, like, why hate on each other? You know what I mean? Like, we're all making money. There's millions and millions and millions and billions of people in the world that we all got to take care of. One person can't take care of everyone. You know what I mean? And LA is like the perfect example. Before I opened up Capsule, that's all I would hear is like, yeah, man, barbers out here don't even like talk to each other. They hate on each other. They don't even share their clients. Like, dude, like the way we are with our shop, like I was asking these guys, how is it ran at your shop? How is it ran here at Champs Barbers? Like, are your clients able to go to other barbers if you're not available? They're like, yeah, man. Like, and I like hearing that, because why would you want to be greedy with your own client if you can't, you know what I mean? Like, when I'm out of town like I am now, I have all these clients that we got to take care of, but we're just going to let them go figure it out themselves. Like, no, we're going to keep it in-house, make sure we take care of them, even though it's not us. But, like, there's other barbers out there that are just like, no, that's my client. So, like, I just wish there's, like, there's no reason to hate on other people and hate on other people's work. And, like, what Jules is saying, if that's what you're focusing on, then, man, that's kind of, it is. You know what I mean? Like, you got some really serious insecurity issues with your own work, so, but yeah, that's just one of the major things. Everything else is kind of, it's just regular things that we live with. It's nothing crazy, but that's just the main thing is just hate.
So Vince, it seems like you've had a long career. You've had, a long successful career. Tell me what you'd say your one greatest moment in barbering's been.
Man, one greatest moment. That's tough. There's been plenty.
Right, name two then.
Well, the first one I would have to say, me and Jules going to Japan. Why? Because like a lot of barbers say, like, who would have thought our clippers would take us that far? You know what I mean? And like, I never thought I would travel across the world as a barber to cut hair like that. I've never even been across the world. You know what I mean? And being able to go to Japan with my tools and just go there to cut that was such a big thing to me. Another moment would probably be, I don't know. One thing that meant a lot to me was, the biggest thing was leaving Capsule. Capsule was my baby.
I hear that so many times. Barbers.
Yeah.
Bad partnerships, when they leave, it's almost like, I'm born again.
Yeah. So like that was a big thing, but the biggest thing was when I told my barbers, like, yo, this is what it is. I gotta leave. You guys could stay, make your money, but I can't be here right now. And they all looked at me and was like, yo, we didn't even we came here to work for you and work with you. So if you leave, we leave. And that to me was like, holy, that's crazy. So literally my last day was everyone else's last day. Cut, packed up, and left as a squad. Left our old shop and we were out of a shop for what? 7-8 months. And when we opened up Gray Matter, they were all still there.
That's a testament.
Exactly. So that to me was like, man, like, it's either one, I did one hell of a job to keep these guys to believing in me, or two, they're just like, yeah, fuck that shit, man. We're just gonna do whatever you want to do. But that alone was just showed loyalty and respect, and that till this day, I'll never forget that moment.
And that's a testament to your work and your philosophy throughout the time in the barbering career.
Yeah.
Because when you set up a new barbershop, most barbershops set up with one chair. And it's a hell of a battle to build up that strong team.
Yeah,
the fact that
sure.
you hit the ground running in your shop, that just shows all your hard work and focus and dedication and commitment manifested itself. Word that Julius loves to use quite a bit, so that's great. And you've got a new brand coming out called the Barber backpack.
Yeah, well, not too many people know about it, but it's so there's a Barber backpack that I've been wanting to do for like the last 3-4 years. It was just a matter of me working with the right people to make it happen. And so obviously I was blessed enough to work with 2 people from Toronto, my hometown, which is like a direct source overseas. So that way I don't have to be working with like a middleman and having it being all complicated. But yeah, it should be dropping within the next, like by the summertime I should have it. I'm just waiting on the final sample. So I don't know. I just wanted to come out with something nothing that hasn't been done. Yeah, right now there's a couple of people that have Barber backpacks, but it's just totally different from what they've come out with. It's just something where like, yeah, we have our barber case and all that, and it's dope. But one, it doesn't protect your tools. 2, you still carry a backpack. So I was like, man, I just want to kind of delete that and be able, like, now the barber game is growing so much that almost every barber is mobile. Every barber travels. And so I wanted to create something that is just easier for people to travel with. It's TSA approved, so you could use it as a carry-on. But yeah, I mean, more info will come. We'll follow once it drops. Most definitely, I'll make sure to promote it the right way and market it, and obviously come back out here in Europe and spread the good word, and hopefully you guys fuck with it.
Okay, and obviously the backpack may have been created on the back end of you doing lots of house calls. Tell me about a house call in Hollywood.
House call in Hollywood
with one of your A-list clients, let's say. Let's feed the imagination of the average barber, let's say?
So, doing house calls in Hollywood is just crazy. It's one, it's inspiring. Two, it's motivating because you're pulling up to these houses and it's just like, damn. Like, and at the time, when I first moved there, I had like an old beat up car, like a '91 Integra, and I'm rolling up to these houses and there's like Bentleys and Rolls Royces and Ferraris and all these dope cars. I'm like, damn. I'm like, should I park on the street and just walk up, or, you know? So like, just driving up to these is just inspirational. You know, it's like, damn, like what do I gotta do as a barber to be able to live this way? You know what I mean? And it's a blessing to be able to go to these houses and cut these people and build a relationship with these people that, you know, I look up to, like I watch in movies, and like I see them play on, you know, play their games and stuff, and listen to their music. So it's definitely a humbling experience to be able to be in the same household as these people that we look up to. You know, and I mean, it's Hollywood, man. Like everyone's out there, you know. But at the end of the day, I've never once got starstruck, because at the end of the day, they're just people like us. They just got a lot of money. So
Name three of the biggest names, if you can, without tarnishing your.
well, I was able to cut Diddy. You know, that was a big thing to me because he was the closest I could have got to Biggie. So that was really, really big. Shout out to Rich the Barber from Miami for hooking that up. Another person, I don't know. There's just been a lot of like, I've been cutting a lot of like OGs, so no one really in the new school. But
He did it, kind of sums it up, you know, that kind of,
yeah,
that strikes a big chord, you know, that's
yeah.
a big cut.
No, it's big. I mean, Drake was one of them. You know, that's a big thing to me because he's, you know, from my hometown, and to see where he is now and to see how he was when I first met him is just crazy, you know. And yeah, and just a couple basketball players that I used to idolize and stuff as well. So I mean, it's been cool. You know, I'm just trying to keep it going, and yeah, just trying to keep building, keep growing.
Okay then, Vince, in closing, because it's really, really late, normal standard practice at Champs Barbers, what would be your closing words for a young man aspiring to be who you are or what you achieved? What would he need to do?
Ask yourself if this is, you know, if barbering is what you really, really want to do, if you're really passionate about it and not in it just for the money. I mean, like Jules said earlier, it is like something that a lot of kids want to become now. It's like, yeah, people saying ball players or actor or doctors, lawyers, and then now barbers, you know, because they've seen how, you know, all of us in the game right now, like how well and how big we've gotten the industry to grow to now where everyone's noticing it. You know, barbers now aren't just barbers behind the chair. They're traveling. We're like, people say like barbers are the new athletes, you know what I mean? So I would just say just stay passionate about your craft, and just stay hungry, motivated, and most of all humble. You know what I mean? Because you never want to be that cocky barber where people are just going to talk about. But yeah, I mean, just stay true to yourself, and stay humble and hardworking and positive. Just keep a positive mind and just keep things rolling.
Vincent, thank you very much for sharing your true words of wisdom and sharing your passion for barbering. And this is going out to the barbering community, as you know, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to learn a lot and be inspired by your words. So I wish you well in your future.
Thank you very much.